Right now, as you watch this, the deadliest animal that has ever existed on planet Earth might be sitting somewhere in the room with you. It's not a shark, it's not a lion, it's not a snake. It's something so small it weighs less than a single raindrop, something so weak it can barely fly against a light breeze, and yet it has killed more human beings than every war in history combined. You've swatted at it, you've slapped the air by your own ear, chasing that thin, maddening whine. But you've probably never once stopped to ask what it's actually like to be one. How it finds you in the dark, why it wants you specifically, what it's doing under your skin in the seconds before you feel a thing, and where this creature came from before it ever learned to fly. Because that last part is the strangest thing of all, and almost nobody knows it. So for the next few minutes, forget that you're the one being bitten. You are the mosquito. Let's start with who you are. You're female, and that single fact is the reason you're in this story at all. The males of your kind never bite anyone. They drift from flower to flower, drinking nectar, completely harmless, without even the equipment to break skin. But you need something they never will. You need blood. Not for energy, not to make it through the day. You need it for exactly one purpose: to build your eggs. Without a blood meal, they simply won't form. So every hunt you run, every warm body you track across a dark room is a mission for the next generation. You're not biting out of hunger. You're not biting out of cruelty. You are a mother, hunting, and the way you hunt is far more precise than anyone gives you credit for. You don't stumble into people by luck. You track them, and it begins from across the room with a single invisible thread: their breath. Every time a human exhales, they release a soft plume of carbon dioxide into the air, and you can lock onto that plume from meters away. You don't smell it with a nose. You read it through fine sensors on your face, and it's the very first trigger in your hunt. It's the switch that turns everything else on. Follow the carbon dioxide, and there is always a warm, living body at the end of the trail. But breath only gets you close. As you close the distance, more signals begin to stack, each one sharpening the last. You feel the heat rising off their skin. You taste the lactic acid in their sweat. You read the specific chemical signature of that one person's body. Because to you, not all humans are the same. Some are almost invisible. Others are lit up like a beacon. And that brings us to the question you've asked your whole life without ever knowing the answer. Why does a mosquito always seem to bite you and leave the person next to you alone? It turns out it's not random at all, and it's not your imagination. If you breathe out more carbon dioxide because you're larger or your body runs hot, you're easier to find. If you're pregnant, you exhale more and radiate more heat, and mosquitoes are measurably drawn to you. If you've just had a drink, even a single beer, studies show you become more attractive to them. Some of it is written into you before you're even born. If you have blood type O, you are, on average, bitten far more than someone with type A. And a huge part of it comes down to the invisible colonies of bacteria living on your skin, which give each of us a scent all our own. Some people, through nothing they ever chose, simply smell irresistible. If you're always the one covered in bites, now you know. Your own body is broadcasting a signal you can't turn off. So you've locked on. You land, and here's where almost everyone imagines the story is simple. You poke them like a tiny needle, you drink, you leave. But that's not what you are at all. What looks like one delicate spear is really 6 separate tools folded together into a single shaft. 2 of them are edged like saw blades, and you use them to cut down through the skin. 2 more hold the wound open while you work. 1 channels your saliva down into the flesh, and 1 draws the blood back up. The outer sheath around them bends back and stays on the surface as you push the rest inside. You are carrying a 6-piece surgical kit in your face, and you're about to use every part of it inside another living body without it ever feeling the blade. And breaking the skin isn't even the hard part. Now you have to find blood. Beneath the surface, your tools bend and probe, searching blind for a vessel. Miss, and you draw back slightly, leaving the tip in the same opening, then angle off in a new direction and try again. You are feeling around inside a person's skin, hunting for a vein. And still, they don't know you're there. And the moment you finally strike one, the clock starts. You have roughly 90 seconds to drink your fill before you have to lift off, heavy and slow, into the dark. But you leave something behind. As you drink, you're also pumping your own saliva down into the wound, and it's loaded with chemicals that stop the blood from clotting, keeping it flowing freely up into you. Here's the part people never realize, though. That itch afterward, that hot red welt they'll scratch for days. That isn't the cut you made. Their body recognizes your saliva as something foreign and fires back with histamine to fight it off. And that reaction is the swelling and the itch. The thing humans hate most about you was never the bite. It's their own immune system, at war with your spit. You've fed. Now you need to find a mate. And this is where you become genuinely strange. That high whine, the sound that makes people slap wildly at the air around their own heads. That's your wings, beating more than 500 times every second. And the pitch of it isn't just the noise of flying, it's how you find each other. In the air, a male and a female will actually tune their wing beats, sliding them together until the two tones lock into a single shared frequency. A duet, matched in mid-flight. The most hated sound in the world is really two mosquitoes falling in love. And now, the number that started all of this. You, slow, soft, barely there, are the deadliest animal that has ever lived. Every single year, mosquitoes kill somewhere between 700,000 and over 1 million human beings. Malaria alone, one of the diseases you carry, drove nearly 263 million infections and around 600,000 deaths in just one recent year. To put that beside the animals people actually fear, snakes kill about 100,000 a year. Sharks kill around 10. You outkill snakes, lions, crocodiles, and sharks, combined several times over. And you do all of it while flying barely 1 mile an hour, staying low to the ground, living for maybe 2 to 4 short weeks. But here's the truth of it. None of that comes from strength. You're not dangerous because of the bite. You're dangerous because of what rides inside it. You're a living needle that moves from one bloodstream to the next, carrying whatever the last body was carrying straight into the next one, billions of times a day, on every continent on Earth except Antarctica. Not power, not size, just a body perfectly built to move blood and everything hidden in it, from person to person, without ever being noticed until it's already too late. And now the part I promised you at the very start, the thing almost no one knows. This airborne hunter, this flying needle that tracks people by their breath and opens them with 6 blades, did not begin in the air at all. You began underwater. As a larva, you hung upside down just beneath the surface of a puddle of still water, breathing through a tiny tube on your tail like a snorkel, filtering specks of food from the water around you. The creature that will one day hunt human beings by their heat and their breath spent the first days of its life dangling from a puddle, breathing through its own backside. And the entire journey, from snorkel in stagnant water to airborne killer, takes just 2 to 4 weeks. At the end of it, if you're a female, you do the one thing every part of you was built for. You find your blood, you build your eggs, you lay them on the water, and it begins all over again. So the next time you hear that thin whine drifting past your ear in the dark, you'll know exactly what it is. A mother, running a hunt built on breath and heat and chemistry, carrying a surgeon's kit in her face, leaving behind a saliva your own body will rage against for days, chasing you, not out of hatred, but because it's the only way to make the next generation, inside a fragile little body that will be gone in a matter of weeks. The mosquito isn't just an insect you swat without thinking. It's one of the most precisely engineered hunters on the entire planet, and it has been shaping the course of human history for far longer than we've been writing it down. If you really want to understand the world, the forces that have quietly steered where we live, where we died, and how we survived, you don't start with the lions or the sharks. You start with the smallest thing in the room.